this is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Andy Herron, who is Product Manager with AVPro. Topic of conversation is, of course, AV over IP, aligning with our AV over IP deep dive, which will be all over the Commercial Integrator website in early August. We really appreciate Andy taking some time to join us today to talk about where he is seeing AV over IP technology going, and of course, contributing to our ongoing discussion of AV over IP trends and developments. Thanks again, Andy, for joining me.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, Dan.
So let's get right into it. When I think about AVPro, I think about an organization that within it covers audio and video and control, talking about the AVPro piece of it, the audio control piece of it, the RTI piece of it. And then, of course, AV over IP really lies at the heart of all of it. Can you tell me a little bit about how you are leaning into AV over IP and really driving it to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great point. A little over a year ago, AVPro acquired RTI, and that completed the loop for us. AVPro Edge is an established brand for video distribution. Like you said, audio control with DSPs and amplifiers, and a lot of those are Dante focused. And then RTI from the control side. We're trying to provide full solutions for our integrators and our customers, right? We want to provide the whole stack, not just components to the solution. And we're really seeing as a company that being driven by doing everything over IP. So not just video over IP with our MXnet platform, but doing audio over IP is just as important. But that also is control over IP. So the abilities that we get with doing everything over IP are endless. We have the distribution, we have the monitoring, we have the control, we have the cloud capabilities, and all of that lends itself to being a one-stop shop for our integrating partners to create the solutions that they need to create, all from AVPro.
You're right. You are that one-stop shop. And as you said, with everything moving toward the IP networks at this point, I think that makes it even more important for people in our channel, integrators, suppliers, and beyond, to be conversant in the language of enterprise IT, to build that friendliness, that compatibility with the IT crowd. How are you helping make that happen? How are you helping ease the path to that?
Yeah, IT and enterprise is a big focus of our company. Commercial business is where we're focused. AVPro, our roots are in residential, but we've been in the last couple of years very focused on, how do we create more compelling commercial solutions for the commercial crowd. And enterprise and IT is one of those big points. AV and IT, have the topic of convergence and creating AV products that are IT friendly has been ongoing, and we're helping to drive that. So we see the future of MXnet is very focused on making our boxes not just black boxes on the network. We want our devices to be fully discoverable, fully manageable, and maintainable using enterprise and IT protocols. There's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. The IT industry has had protocols in place to do things like this for decades, and we're just adopting those standards into our AV world. So things such as SNMP and LLDP for understanding network topologies, and using standard network monitoring software to see the status of an endpoint, whether it's offline or the CPU usage. All these things that IT administrators care about, we're integrating into our AV over IP ecosystem. And we're also very focused on security. That's another big part of this. Obviously, discoverability and monitoring of these devices is important, but making sure that when you put an MXnet or an AVPro product on the network, there's not going to be loopholes. There's not going to be security concerns that come up with those units that propose risks to IT administrators. So things like TLS encryption and AES video stream encryption, and HTTPS web servers. All of this comes into play with making sure that AVPro products can easily be put on enterprise networks, and then can stay on those networks and be secure for 10 years down the road.
So, in addition to the security piece of it, I also want to talk about the interoperability piece of it. That seems like something that AVPro is equally leaning into, driving interoperability and recognizing the importance of interoperable ecosystem-based approaches. Anything you would want to add on that?
Yeah, interoperability is a big focus of MXnet as well. I talked about ecosystems, and obviously we want to be able to provide an ecosystem to our partners. But one of the things that happens when manufacturers create ecosystems is you're kind of in a vendor lock-in situation, right? There's not a lot of third-party devices that you can bring in. You get pushed and forced into using one solution or solutions from one manufacturer. And obviously, there's benefits that we provide to our integrating partners of using our ecosystem. But we recognize that interoperability is just as important. And there's devices in the industry that we have no intention of making. And there's industry leaders for certain types of components that we want to make sure that we're integrating nicely with. And we want to make it easy and remove as many points of failure as we possibly can to get an AVPro product to work with any other product that might be part of the full solution. So traditionally, we have 3 different technologies of AV over IP within MXnet. Our Evolution 1 and Evolution 2, which are ultra low latency, 4K 60 capable, but they come with the trade-off of being a bit of a siloed solution, right? They're designed to be end-to-end within their own ecosystem. And then we also have SDVoE technology, but the latest is what we're calling our universal streaming platform, USP for short. And this is based on an H.265, H.264 based codec. And what we're doing is, obviously, it works as a AV over IP system you would expect it to. So distribution of any number of sources to any number of destinations. But we've integrated open standards H.265 and 264 as an option in there. So now you can take any other compliant standard-based device and then have it interoperate with the MXnet universal streaming platform. So you can take in IP cameras, you can send to production systems, you can do capture record, all while having that interoperability of not needing additional adapters. There's no more license costs or fees to do any of this, but you still get the benefit of having the full audio video control aspect on top of that, right? So we have the ecosystem where it makes sense, and we have the interoperability where it makes sense. We're also doing things like bridging different types of technologies. So, for example, I mentioned that we have SDVoE, a product line for SDVoE. I'll call their 10G line. One of the things that we're doing that's pretty unique is allowing that product line with a new encoder to bridge the gap between our H.265 product line and our 10 gig product. So now you can have the zero latency and the zero compression where the system calls for it, but you can also link it to a lower cost USP system for extra TVs, overflow areas, concourses where you don't need that performance that comes with 10G, right? And then the icing on the top, or the cherry on top, is that we're also trying to branch MXnet into new opportunities outside of Pro AV, and NDI is another layer to that as well. So this is all talking about the interoperability and our approach to when you come to AV Pro. We're not just going to have one type of technology. We're going to allow you to choose and recommend the right technology, but also make sure that it's easy for people to integrate other third-party devices within an AV over IP and AV Pro ecosystem.
I don't think there is any doubt. It seems like you have the full portfolio of offerings to be able to meet integrators, meet clients, meet applications where they are, rather than saying like you have to shoehorn it into this or shoehorn it into that. You meet the application where it is, and therefore let the integrator and let the end user enjoy the best possible outcome.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. Very, very informative. Thank you again for joining me.
Thanks, Dan.
Pleasure to have been joined by Andy Herron, who is product manager with AVPro. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com throughout the early part of August for more ongoing and continuing coverage of AV over IP, and also check out our AV over IP deep dive in the brand new print issue. Again, Andy, thanks for joining me, and we will catch up with everybody very, very soon.